Welcome to Gothic Homemaking Presents, a series of short featurettes intended to keep you entertained and informed between full episodes of Gothic Homemaking. Now, those of you who follow me here on YouTube or Instagram or just know me really well know that I only wear John Fluevog shoes. John Fluevog is a Canadian designer, and I've been wearing his phantasmagorical designs for decades. In fact, because it's all I wear, the shoes have found their way into many an episode of Gothic Homemaking. Some very astute individuals have pointed out the shoe porn aspect of the show. Here's a clip to show you some of the times my John Fluevog shoes have been featured on Gothic Homemaking. Take a look. Rainstorm, and all of those books were soaking wet. I knew they were not going to sell, and that's when it was time to strike. What, are you kidding me? That's a standard issue Gothic construction worker look.
Down, it became a town dump.
It's like a treasure trove of weird things.
It is. It's an amazing place.
In order to keep with that theme, I took a walk down to an East Village framing store called Excel Custom Framing. So I took a walk down a cobblestone street, and there in a brick-filled alley, and now the coffin armoire looks great. More importantly, as you can see, the shoes are so ubiquitous on the show that I even credit John Fluevog at the end of every episode. He has stores all over Canada and all over America, and I've been to a great many of them. But as you might imagine, I'm something of a regular at the New York store. Whenever I'm cruising through Nolita, I make it a point to stop by the John Fluevog store. I have to tell you that his women's shoes are absolutely to die for. I have often begged them to make some of these styles large enough for a man to wear. His women's shoes are whimsical and stylish with fantastic detailing and often have extremely original heel designs. Now obviously I come for the men's shoes, but it seems no matter how many of them I have, there's always something new that catches my eye. Like these Imperial Swordfish Lestats in black dragon leather. Now these are a must-have. Believe me when I say there's nothing quite like the feeling of getting a new pair of Fluevogs. The last time I was in the New York store, I was in for quite a treat. John Fluevog was in town, and I got to meet the man himself. Moreover, I was able to convince him to swing by the lair for an interview. Take a look. Welcome to the Lair of Voltaire. Today we have a very, very auspicious occasion. We have a guest, one of the greatest shoe designers in the world, and in fact my favorite shoe designer of all time, all the way from Canada, Mr. John Fluevog.
Oh, thank you. Nice to be here in your lair.
Thanks very much for coming.
That's great. It's awesome.
Now John, I am almost entirely certain that I bought my very first pair of Fluevogs in the 80s. Are either one of us old enough for that to be possible?
It sounds sketchy, but I believe it to be true.
It is true.
And what gets worse, actually, I started in 1970. There was people alive back then, actually.
In the 70s.
In the 70s, yeah. So I started in 1970. So, as your viewers are watching this, that makes me been in business for like pretty close to 48 years.
48 years. Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, your first shop opened in 85, is that right?
That's incorrect.
Is that incorrect?
No, totally.
Okay. Well, the first Fluevog shop.
No.
Oh, it was earlier than that.
kind of. Okay, so
Damn you, Wikipedia!
I started in 1970 with a partner, and his name was Fox, and the company was called Fox and Fluevog. And then like I bought him out in 1980, and then I sort of fumbled along, and then I changed the name of the company to my own name, John Fluevog, and opened in Seattle, Washington at the beginning of the goth whole thing that was going on.
Huh.
And I was like the man back then.
You're still the man.
You know, but yeah.
In fact, 4+ decades later, you have 20+ stores all over Canada, all over America. You have one in Amsterdam. Your brand is bigger and stronger than ever. What is the secret of your success? How does an artist stay so exciting and so relevant for so long?
That's a great question. You know what? I ask myself that question because it seems a little odd to me. Because very few people have hung in that long in a sort of boutique atmosphere, which I'm basically in. And I think I attribute it to just being myself and just catching my own vibe and doing my own thing. When I start looking out at all particularly now with the internet and all the barrage of crap that comes at you, every angle and everything, if you've got your own energy and your own vibe, and you like what you like, and you just sort of stay on focus. I mean, I think that's what I think it is.
I think that's a really, really great philosophy, and it kind of plays into my next question, which is, what's your process like? Do you make an attempt to know what's going on in the world outside of John Fluevog? Like, do you go to fashion shows? Do you see what's trending, or is that just all rubbish?
It's not all rubbish, but it's certainly not where my focus comes from. And I'd be lying if I told you I didn't nod to it on occasion, and I do. But ultimately, for all the length of time that I've been in business, when I look back at the things I've done, the things that have been successful are the things that have just come from here. And I'm just do it. Because I've done some pretty crazy, things that are out of sync with the fashion world. And they've been successful, and they've made my tiny little company stay in business and be where it is.
Well, this is a question that I hate to get as an artist, so of course, being the jerk that I am, I'm going to ask it of you. And I understand that this is kind of like asking someone, of all of your children, which is your favorite one. But do you have a favorite shoe that you've designed of all of your shoes?
Of all my children, I can't say one. The very first shoe because I didn't know I was a designer until, so I'm in business for 15 years. Like I say, I had a partner. And it wasn't until like 1985 that I was forced, into doing my own things, just to, as I saw it back then, to have my own identity. And I didn't really consider myself an artist or know really why I was doing it. But probably the very first shoe that I did, and I didn't understand what was happening to me, but I kept having this feeling of this shoe that was coming to me over and over again. It was driving me crazy, and I didn't actually know how to make shoes back then. And so I remember doing this shoe in the basement of my house out of plaster of Paris.
Wow. And
I didn't even know how to work in plaster of Paris, but I just did it, and it was dripping from the basement and all gobby and gooey, just because I had to get this shape out of my, going. And so I started with it, and then I took this crazy plaster of Paris gooey thing to a friend of mine who was a shoemaker, and we made this pair of shoes. And that's the shoe that was became quite iconic back then. It was a shoe that Light wore, Madonna wore in a movie, and it didn't sell a mountain of them, but it was really iconic and still is to me. So what's the lesson there? Follow your heart? I don't know.
What's the name of the shoe?
It's called the Munster.
The Munster. Alternately, is there a shoe that you wish you hadn't made?
I'd have to think about that, but oh yes, there are. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. I think it's the ordinary things that I do when I try to get too close to the market and think, oh shit, I'm missing out, I'm losing out here. It's those are the things that just make it no fun. So.
Was there ever a shoe that looked great on paper and you discovered was impossible to make?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Those hover shoes?
Yeah. You remember that stuff. It's interesting, after I've been doing it, as long as I've been doing it, the We have a museum in Vancouver, actually in Calgary, Alberta. And you look back at I look back at all the things I've done. It's starting to be quite a volume of things, and it's fun just taking the stuff that I did maybe in 92 or 93 and mixing and matching. Take some of the bits from it, put some of them on, and take other bits from new things I've done and mix and match. I like doing that.
Speaking of shoes from the past, I wear on stage the Edwardian Hamburger boots.
Yeah.
And I have them in oxblood, and to be completely frank, I have them in oxblood because you were sold out of the black ones. I learned a very, very valuable lesson that day, and that is when you find a pair of John Fluevog shoes you want, buy them immediately. And now I'm at the point where I buy 2 and 3 pairs just to make sure that if I've worn out one, I've got another fresh one to get into. I think that there seems to be like a sense of that they're not just shoes, and they go beyond even wearable art to being collector's items. Do you find people buy them for the love of collecting them?
Yeah, there's quite a few people do that to my shoes.
Have you ever encountered somebody who's wearing a pair of your shoes from like decades earlier?
Yeah, I do that, and it's not what I intended to have happen. I didn't go out and say, oh, well, I want people to collect them. I find it kind of odd, but at the same time, I would think, well, actually, for all the addictions someone can have, it's a pretty cheap addiction.
I mean, compared to, I don't know, cocaine maybe?
Oh, yeah, cars.
Cars, that's a good one. Addiction is an interesting word that you should use. So my ex-girlfriend Amy texted me today when I told her that you were going to swing by the lair. She said, don't forget to mention to him that you buy every one of your girlfriends a pair of John Fluevog shoes on your second date. And I said, I'm not going to tell him that. And here we are telling you that. And it's kind of true. It's like when I think things are going to be pretty serious, good. And I can usually tell by date number 2, I'll march her last down to the shop and I'll buy her a shoe. And to me, it's kind of like a consolation prize. It's like, you're stuck with me, but check out these great shoes you're getting. But what I've noticed time and time again is just as what happened with me, when somebody gets their very first pair of Fluevogs, they become addicted. They don't ever want to wear anything else. I have, I think, maybe 30 pairs of shoes, and every single one of them was designed by you. So this addiction thing, is it part of your master plan? Did you know all along? Is there a 12-step group?
It's actually a diabolical plot.
It's a diabolical plot?
Yeah, I have been masterminding this for years, okay?
48 years?
Yeah, 48 years. And it is a total diabolical plot on my behalf to have the whole world in Fluevogs at the end of the day.
I believe you. There have been times where I've asked myself the age-old question, am I paying rent, or am I getting more Fluevogs?
Well, you're getting more Fluevogs, of course. Well, and you don't really need to eat, because you can skip 3-4 days of not eating easily and have yourself a pair of shoes.
And shoe leather is edible if you boil it.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, yeah.
So there you go. Get addicted. My favorite shoes of yours are black boots with pointy toe and Cuban heels. So anytime you release anything like that, you're guaranteed a sale. And as you already know, I don't mean a sale. I will buy 2 or 3 pairs of them. And I'm going to be very honest and say that when your new line comes out and there isn't anything in that category, I do cry a little bit. I cry a little. And then I ultimately fall in love with something else of yours. I think this last year, I bought multiple pairs of the Malverns, multiple pairs of the Lestats, multiple pairs of the Ace Face, all of them flats. But I recently heard through the grapevine that if I have an idea for a Fluevog shoe, it could potentially be made. Can you tell me about that?
Huh, you heard that, did you?
That's what I heard.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's annoying, but sometimes I do listen to people.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Is there really some program somewhere where you can submit designs? Yeah,
we have a site where you can submit. You can do a scratchy little drawing. Doesn't matter the quality of the drawing, but any little idea you can put down there, and you can upload it onto our site. And they do get looked at, and I get influenced by them.
Now, I also heard that part of the deal is if your shoe gets made, it's named after you.
Oh, shoot. You hear everything. It's true. So what are you going for here? I feel something. I feel something bubbling.
I think you know. I think you know. I think I'm gunning for an Aurelio Voltaire shoe. I did see you did make a Voltaire shoe, but I'm guessing you named it after some other chap.
Okay. I don't know if I should say this to you.
Probably not, if that's how you're gonna preface it.
But I'm going to anyway, because it's like I drew a shoe today, and I put your name on it.
All right, I have to interrupt this interview to tell you that I completely lost it when he said that. I had, I think, 3 more questions for him, but I got so discombobulated that I forgot what they were. I kind of awkwardly wrapped up the interview, but I was fangirling and melting down so hard inside. I mean, I think I pulled it off like I was cool and I was okay, but I'm not really sure. Why don't you watch the last few seconds of the interview and you tell me if you think I held it together. You're making that up.
I'm not lying. It's the truth. Now, I'm not sure whether you're going to like it.
It's got a big. They're flats and they're big bubble shoes.
I think
right?
I might want. No, I think as I'm talking to you, I might think I might jack the heel up a bit more. But I did, and I was actually if I go ahead with this shoe, which is that's another thing. I can draw it. That's one thing, and then we have to go through a process. And if I go ahead with it, I thought I need to ask you whether it's okay if I do it. Put your name on it.
Of course, it's okay.
Okay, that's it. So we got a deal. So if I use your esteemed name, it's okay with you.
Of course.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, you all heard it. So you're not going to sue me or nothing. Okay, great.
I'm really resisting the urge to make out with you on camera.
No, we don't want to do that.
Especially since your lovely wife Ruth is about
she's
a couple of feet away.
Yeah, she is.
Well, that is outrageous news. It's
There you go.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for visiting us here at the Lair.
I love the joint now.
Oh, thank you so much. I wish you another 48 years of tremendous success.
Thank you very much.
Making the world's most interesting shoes.
I'd be 120, so that's fine. Great.
Thank you so much for coming, John. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
And there you have it. That was my interview with Mr. John Fluevog. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed chatting with this incredibly talented hero of mine. I strongly encourage you to visit his website, fluvog.com. Find the store nearest you and pay them a visit, but be warned, for if you do, your life will never be the same. It will become vastly more interesting. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time on Gothic Homemaking. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so that you'll never miss another Gothic Homemaking video. Full episodes of Gothic Homemaking can be seen right here on The Lair of Voltaire.